for sounding quite low in terms of my voice, but it is extremely late, and my youngest daughter appears not to be wanting to go to sleep at all. I think she's down. I'm hoping she's down, but I'm going to speak quietly and hopefully she'll stay asleep. But it's ridiculously late, but I actually need to crack on with a few because I've got a lot on in the next couple of days, and I actually need to edit this one to then get it up for today's dram. So I'm going to rip through these quite quickly because I want to get 3 done tonight quite quickly, just to give myself a bit of a head start for the next couple of days. So there are actually some new donations. The last 2 reviews that I've done have been rye whiskies, and in the last 2 days I've actually received a couple of donations from various places which have included rye whiskies, so I thought I might as well carry on doing some ryes, simply because prior to that I've not had a chance to have many rye whiskey at all. So the first one is this one, which is called Copper Pony. Now this was actually very kindly acquired from a shop in Orlando, Florida called Total Wine and More. Now I think they're a national chain. They're like a supplier as well, I think. But Total Wine and More were kind enough to send me some miniatures of various bits and pieces that they sell in miniature form. They've actually got a half decent selection of miniature bottles. What I found in liquor stores, I go to Orlando quite regularly, and what I found in liquor stores in America is that they don't really do miniatures, and they don't really do kind of, the majority of liquor stores I've been into when I've been over there have been kind of like, there's the drink, we do Jack Daniels, we do beer, off, whatever, get drunk, that sort of thing. And Total Wine is, I found were quite good, really good wine selection, big stores, and similar to when I used to work for Oddbins in terms of the staff seem to know what they're talking about. Pretty much everything's got like a handwritten review label on it from the staff themselves, and they don't really do miniatures over in America, I found, but these guys have quite a good selection, so they were kind enough to send me some samples, of which this is one. And this is what the bottle looks like, full size, and I don't think you can get it here in the UK. I really don't. I've never ever seen it before, and it's about $25 in America, so it's not the cheapest, but it's kind of on the cheaper end. Now, doing research into this actually gave me some information of a company that I've never heard of before, but is actually really kind of shaking things up in terms of whiskey production and now bourbon. And it actually says on the label here, you're probably not going to pick it up on the camera, but you may well be able to read that there, which says it's produced and bottled by TerrePURE Spirits, North Charleston, South Carolina. So South Carolina is here, and I'm going to try and get the address of this. They're actually a company called TerreSentia, and TerrePURE is a kind of a subsidiary of them, who actually are now in the UK as well. And what TerreSentia was set up in 2007, and they're actually like a chemistry company, and what their claim is, now this is a pretty bold claim, is that using chemistry they can essentially turn what you'd consider a bog standard ordinary spirit into a super premium spirit. And their official blurb is that they use oxygenation and what was the other bit as well? Oxygenation and ultrasonic energy to do a couple of things. One is to reduce the amount of congeners in the spirit. Now, congeners are supposedly a large element of what give you hangovers in the morning, so give you the headache and feeling like crap. So it's removing a lot of those, and then it's also transforming fatty acids into esters, which esters can kind of improve flavour and give you a better mouthfeel. It's a pretty bold statement, to be perfectly honest, and doing a bit more in-depth reading into it tonight, it really does appear to have properly split the industry. So they're based in South Carolina, but last year they actually bought a distillery in Kentucky called the Charles Medley Distillery, and this is now been renamed into the OZ Tyler Distillery. And once I've poured this into the glass, I shall point to where the map should be. Now, what they're basically doing is they're taking advantage of the fact that Kentucky bourbon is really, really popular nowadays, and Kentucky bourbon even more so. And essentially, if you can have Kentucky bourbon on a label or straight Kentucky bourbon on a label, you've already got this premium element, and you've already got people attracted to it simply because it says that on the label, rather than just bourbon, which can be from anywhere in America. Kentucky bourbon, that word Kentucky really is quite important. So what TerrePURE did is they actually bought this Charles Medley distillery for apparently $25 million. Last year, we're looking at some point this year for their new their own releases to be coming out, and they are going to use this TerrePURE process essentially to be able to produce aged whiskey which isn't aged. Now their claim is pretty bold. You know, one bit I did read was that they can do 4 hours worth of aging in 8 hours worth of work. It said, this says on the label that it's been aged for 6 months in oak. Now it is actually a process that involves being aged in oak, but then there is also this chemistry element that's involved in it as well. So it is in oak barrels. There are some other companies out there that are doing new processes where I read one where they're actually, this isn't TerrePURE, but this is one where they're maturing it in oak for 6 months. Then they chop up the barrel that it's been maturing in, and they put it in a massive tank that they then pressurize, and they do high pressure and low pressure and high pressure and low pressure, and it forces the whiskey into the bits of wood that have been chopped up, then back out again, then in, then out, because that's the maturation. And by doing this technique, it's actually increasing the aging of the whiskey. So this is 6 month in barrel, but by TerrePURE or TerrePURE's reckoning, this could be the equivalent of a 5 to 6 year old, maybe even a little bit older. Again, it's really kind of throwing the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of the traditional element of bourbon makers really not happy with this, because it's very much like, it's not an old boys network, but it's about tradition. It's about, we've been doing the same things since the 1800s, the 1700s. It's all about trying to do things properly, and new techniques and new elements and new science really, the proof's in the pudding, and it's still relatively early days, and a lot of people are against it, knowing that this particular brand, and it says on the label it's using the TerrePURE process. The OZ, it's a bit American when it's going to be OZ Tyler. Apparently Ty Tyler is the founder or co-founder of TerrePURE in this kind of TerrePURE process. So it's an OZ Tyler distillery, it's now going to be called, which is due out this year. Will use this process. They'll be able theoretically to bring out a bourbon, a Kentucky bourbon, that's going to be less than 3 years old, but they'll be able to claim with their processes that it'll taste like it's a 10-year-old. Whether that's the case or not, we don't know until it comes out. So it'll be interesting to see what this is like, because reviews of this are, actually it's pretty good, to, oh, I don't like it, it's absolutely awful, it's typical TerrePURE, they're all crap type thing. So who knows. It's pretty decent on the nose. It's quite sharp though, and it's only 40%. Is it 40 or 45? 45, so it's 90 US proof, it's 45% alcohol. It smells a little bit, oh, really itchy nose there, excuse me. It smells a little bit hotter than a 45, but it's actually quite a nice spicy element to it. Oh, sorry, I've got a really itchy part of my nose, I just can't get rid of it. There's quite a nice kind of, there is like a barbecue-y sweetness on it, but it's quite a spicy barbecue, and there's cardamom in there, definite cardamom, really kind of sharp cardamom. There's a nice spicy character to this actually. It's pretty interesting on the nose. It is a little bit hot, but yeah, cardamom is definitely the overriding theme there. That cardamom carries on as well actually. Cardamom and lemon. It's almost, it reminds me a little bit of an Indian takeaway that I had, which was unusual. It was quite a spicy curry, but they cooked it with lemon, and at the time I thought it was a really unusual character, but it sort of grew on me. It kind of actually worked in terms of this citrus element along with the quite hot curried spices, and there is elements of that. There is a bit of citrus, there is cardamom, there's heat. Again, I'd say it was probably slightly more than 45%, to be perfectly honest. but there is quite a good mouthfeel to it. And if, as they say, this is 6 months old, it certainly, there is an argument to say it definitely tastes older than just 6 months in cask. Definite spice, sharp spice, slightly drying, definite citrus in there, lemon and lime. In fact, lime's kicking through now as well. It's quite a nice mouthfeel. It's not hugely rich and there's not a massive amount on the finish, and it's slightly drying. But to be perfectly honest, that is actually pretty good. It's not too hot. There's some interesting flavours in there. It's unlike the other ryes that I've come across so far. It's very, very unusual. I'm not sure I'd want to drink an awful lot of it neat on its own. I think it would be really good in a cocktail. I think it would mix really well, and it's got some unusual flavours in there that would actually lift certain cocktails. Like an old-fashioned this would work really well in an old-fashioned, just because of the spicy, citrusy elements that are in there. Whether you'd want to drink it neat or not, if you prefer your whiskies neat, room temperature, it might be a little bit too drying and a little bit too hot. But to be perfectly honest, most of the ryes that I've had so far in my lifetime, let alone during this challenge, are harder to drink neat at room temperature. They need to be either out of the fridge or as part of a cocktail. But as a shot on its own, it's very interesting, and it intrigues me about what this TerrePURE process could do. Now, as it is, oh no, I haven't. Bugger! I thought I had another one that was from that process from TerreSentia, but I haven't. It'd be very, very interesting to see when the Kentucky bourbon comes out, what that's like, because that is actually pretty good. And I think you need to give TerrePURE a chance. If you've had it before and you're against it, I'd give it a chance. If you haven't, it might be worth giving it a go, just purely out of interest. Right, I have rabbited on for far too long than I intended to. The next one's going to be a little bit easier because I don't have much information on it, so I shall do a quick rinse out, crack on, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.